And we are back with another episode of Straight Out the Lou. As always, I'm Dylan, joined by Luke and Chris. Today we have a preview of a showdown between the hometown teams of myself and Chris and Luke, although Luke does not claim to be a fan of this team, as we have the Celtics visiting San Francisco to take on the Warriors. We also have Chris, who has a little rant prepared on the Celtics. We have a ranking of the top 5 teams in the NBA by each of us here on the panel. And then we also have a little bit of a preview for the big game this weekend on Sunday, as we have the Bucks taking on the Chiefs, Brady against Mahomes. Last night, we had a big game for the Bruins, clearly as seen by Luke's background there. So we'll have a little bit of Bruins talk for you. And then also a little bit of college basketball at the end. But to start our show today, we want to give you guys our thoughts on the big blockbuster trade that went down this past weekend in the NFL, as the Detroit Lions send Matthew Stafford, former number 1 overall pick, to LA to play for the LA Rams. And the LA Rams sent their former number 1 overall pick, Jared Goff, to Detroit, as well as 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. All right, guys. So big trade, obviously, some big names being tossed around and some big picks being tossed around. So who do you guys like coming out of this trade for the near future and for the long term? And also, outside of the 2 immediate teams in the trade, who are the winners and losers, as well as, of course, the winners and losers in the trade?
I think both teams got value out of this trade. Obviously, for the Rams, they have a Super Bowl roster. They were just handicapped at quarterback last year with Goff not being able to make a lot of throws off schedule. I think Stafford improves that, so I like the trade for them to go all in. And I think he can win them a Super Bowl. That's my pick next year as of right now, to win the whole thing. And for Detroit, you get Goff, whatever. He'll probably start this year. But the real value is in those picks. And, they're a constant rebuild. And the only way to get out of that is loading up some picks and hitting on those picks. So I thought that was a good trade for them. And outside of it, San Francisco obviously is a loser here because a lot of people thought Stafford was going to San Francisco. A lot of reports.
Thought they run the NFC.
Yeah, a lot of thoughts on that. Really everybody in the NFC West, because all 4 of those teams are supposed to be good. And now they got the Rams, who are probably going to be the favorite going into next season to win the division.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we see here where the Lions got a lot for Stafford, a lot more than I think they deserved. But I think they come out as losers here because we know they're just going to draft absolute scrubs. Like, they're just the worst drafting team of all time.
Outside of the Patriots.
Outside of the Patriots, yes, exactly. But, Goff sucks. I mean, he's just going to be there for maybe a couple of years. I think they're going to try and dump him soon. I think teams will be looking for a quarterback, just serviceable guy. But I really like it for the Rams. I think Stafford, even though he's not the greatest quarterback, I still think he's top 15, top 12. And I think in the McVay offense like that, he can really thrive with his receivers and their strong running game, great offensive line. As long as he just does his job, I think they can be Super Bowl contenders next year. And I think at this moment they are the favorites to come out of the NFC West. Sorry for your Niners, but I do think he's the difference maker over Jimmy G. I like the Niners still. I'm just a little more, recency bias, a little more towards the Rams, and I like the direction they went with going on against Stafford, getting ballsy.
Yeah. No, I obviously agree with all that. The Niners are put in definitely a tough spot coming out of this trade with Stafford now in the division. Have to see him in that scary Rams roster twice a year now. But I'm proud of John Lynch for staying strong here and not giving up his picks, realizing that there's a lot that needs to be addressed with this team. I don't see it as a necessarily have-to-win-now roster with how it's built, with their star power being so young and set up to be in long-term deals coming up here in the next couple years. You need to build around those guys. And
just quickly, not to get on you too much, but last couple weeks you've been telling me how this roster is the best roster. Like, they're so ready to go. Like,
they are.
But now you're telling me there's places that John Lynch needs to build through the draft. So is it that their roster is the best, or do they need the draft? Because I don't think they need the draft. I think they should have gave up both those picks. I would have given up 2 first-round picks for him if I was the Niners. They don't need those first round picks.
They do though, because this team has
Dude, to
not
draft
been able
who?
to draft interior linemen and guys in the secondary.
Who you already have.
All of their corners are free agents this year. All of the interior linemen are free agents.
And watch, I bet they'll draft Kyle Pitts.
I'm not ready to commit to that.
That's my hot take.
Dylan.
If they draft Kyle Pitts, then how would you feel?
Dylan,
I wouldn't feel great, but I wouldn't feel terrible.
your window closes very fast in the NFL, and if all those guys are going to walk anyways, then you're just going back to square one with new draft picks. You might as well have gone to get Stafford, and you'd be Super Bowl favorite going into the season.
This is why I like what the Rams did, because there's been an organization where they've had like stretches of maybe like 2 years of good. Like, this is not an organization that's been dominant. And I really think that even though they haven't picked in the first round since Goff, I think they've done really well. They have the best defense in the NFL. And I think they set themselves up for a good future where these first round picks aren't going to really bother them until they're going to have to go into a complete rebuild in about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, fine for the foreseeable future, the next couple years, they look set up well, but
which is what I think you have to do when you're one of these teams that has a lot of young talent like the Niners do, and you're not going to be able to pay everybody. So if you just get Stafford for 2 years, I think, what is he on, a 1 year, 2 year deal? You can opt in or something. I think that's worth it.
You'd rather set yourself up to have a possible window for the next 2 to 3 years and almost a guaranteed tanking team for the next 3 to 4 after that, rather than team that's in the conversation every year for the next 6 to 7.
Of course. Do you know how hard it is? It's so
There's
hard.
no guarantees. There's no guarantees in the NFL. Exactly. So when you want to throw away all opportunity in the years down the road just for the years now?
The goal is to win a championship, not to be in the conversation.
Your team has showed the last 2 years that you guys are one of the best rosters in the league. Literally just need a quarterback. And also, if I was the Lions, I don't know where Chris stands on this, I would much rather have Garoppolo than Goff, not because he's necessarily better, but because McVay was whispering Goff. Everything was from McVay. He's always talking to him all the time. Everything's from McVay. That guy is the most system guy, where I think Jimmy can kind of just be a gunslinger at times and just kind of do his thing, turn the ball over. I would rather have Garoppolo for the next 2 years than Goff.
I think they both suck.
I think they do. I think they do too.
They're pretty equal. I don't know.
If you had to take one?
Goff's been through a whole rebuild. He came out of it pretty successfully, bringing the Rams to a Super Bowl. I think okay, yeah, definitely McVay was a big part of that for sure. But I'd rather have a guy who's ready to go through another rebuild, knows what a rebuild looks like, a younger guy, probably has a higher ceiling than Garoppolo. I don't think he's really reached his ceiling yet. I think Garoppolo is pretty dang close to it.
But one thing Garoppolo has shown, though, is he can win. And no team wants to
Goff can win as well. Goff's gone just as far as Jimmy.
Dude, if they have 2 first-round picks, they don't need to tank. This is like the same situation the Dolphins are in. The Lions don't need to tank. They don't have an awful roster. They've been plagued by injuries. They're pretty solid, especially on offense.
They're gonna have to keep Galladay around in order to have some sort of functional receiving core, because Marvin Jones is gone now.
But if they do, you can't tell me that's not a bad offense.
No, I think they're a decent team. I like DeAndre Swift. O-line's serviceable. Obviously, TJ Hawkinson, a top 10 guy. He's pretty solid. He's on the up.
Yeah. They hired that clown coach.
Yeah, they did hire the clown. Typical Lions.
It's the Lions.
Yeah, it's the Lions. You can't win with the Lions. So it's whatever, dude. It's the Lions. Yeah, I don't even know.
It's pretty funny. Goff's going from the McVay, Brainiac, total Jimmy Neutron-looking dude, to the I'll bite your kneecaps off. Like, we're going to run the city and embrace the energy, total opposite.
It'll be interesting. We'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, all this quarterback talk, all the big trade with Stafford, Goff, where are these big draft QB prospects going to land? Where's Kirk Cousins going to go? All this chatter at the end of the day, who it's good for? It's the guys on Park Avenue, the NFL. At the end of the day, the NFL is remaining and cementing itself as the top league in the United States. And it's clear even now, like with these teams that aren't even playing, they're making headlines on ESPN. It's really unreal. I would say that at the end of the day, though, with this trade, both teams come away as winners. The losers are the other teams in the NFC West. But both teams came out looking pretty good for what they're trying to do.
Obviously, it's too early to say who's the winner and the loser in this trade. but it's something you want to try and predict in the future. But it's not one of these trades where you're like, oh my God, they got fleeced. It seems balanced.
Both teams.
It's not a DeAndre
teams
Hopkins.
Yeah.
At the time of this trade, it looks like a good trade. Whether it pans out, it looks good.
Yeah, for now, definitely. All right, little segue away from the NFL here before we get back to the NFL with the Super Bowl in a few minutes. But tonight we have the Boston Celtics taking on the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are going to be down Wiseman. The Celtics, I believe, are coming off a tough loss to the Lakers, right, Chris?
Yeah, we're down Smart tonight too, which is a problem because
She lost her shooting.
well, we lost our defense, and he usually guards Curry. And throughout the Brad Stevens era, I don't know why, but the Celtics have always played the Warriors tough. The 73-9 season, I think we were one of your losses, and we played you close in another game. And, we've gone to Oakland, now San Francisco, and beaten you a couple times. But, we'll see what happens tonight when Kemba's guarding Curry. Kem Bum is my new nickname for him because this guy blows. I'll get to that in a second.
Finally.
He's come to terms.
I'm hoping Brad, maybe tries mixing up some
Do I need to pull up the clips from that debate when we had Noah Timmer on where you guys were like, oh, no, this guy. I'll leave it alone, but, finally you've come around, Chris. Thank God.
A little better than Tyler Hero, but, yeah. So, I was saying I'm hoping Brad mixes up the defense on Curry tonight. Throw a couple guys on him, maybe Brown, give him a shot, give Tatum a couple shots at him. We'll see what happens with that. But it is a big break for the Celtics not to have to deal with Wiseman, so we can get away with our 6'9" center Daniel Tice tonight. But as for the last couple games for the Celtics, the Spurs loss, they come out and they just don't play any defense in the second quarter. They get burned at the end of that quarter, and they end up losing the game. Smart misses the wide open three to tie the game at the end.
Classic.
Brad Stevens comes out second time last week and said the defense needs to improve. We're playing horrible defense. This is embarrassing. Called out his team. And you know what? They improved. They played a lot better against the Lakers. They really played pretty well against the Lakers. Only got, 96 points. They got a good shot at the end of the game. Kemba made a shot. The guard play for the Boston Celtics offensively has been horrible. Smart has been terrible on offense. Kemba's been terrible on offense. Jeff Teague has been an unmitigated disaster of a signing. Same thing with Thompson, by the way. So other than Tatum and Brown right now, we're not getting much production from anybody else. And in order to go make a run in the playoffs, people need to start producing or they need to make a move. Because when Tatum and Brown give you 60, you should be able to win. I don't care who you're playing. They played good defense, and they probably should have won that game against the Lakers. But you know what? This is a 5-game road trip. We're playing some good teams. They have a chance to bounce back. My prediction is they'll go 1-4 or 2-3 though, and they'll come back at 500. And they'll probably still be in fourth in the East though, because there's no depth because Miami and Toronto suck and there's no depth there.
Yeah, I'd rather see you guys lose though.
So we'll see what happens. I think they'll win tonight because they need to bounce back. They're not going to lose 3 in a row. Then they'll go to Sacramento tomorrow and lay an egg. But they'll win tonight, I think. But Curry will probably go for 50 because we don't have anybody to guard him because Smart's out. We'll see.
Yeah, the big thing that's been holding back the Warriors this year at times when they get blown out, it's their defense. They look lackluster sometimes, a little lost, not really all communicating very well. But lately, they've been winning, and those wins have come because of the offense and because Curry has been on fire. About 30 every game, probably 5+ assists every game. But a lot of those assists have been to Wiseman. Wiseman's missing today. That's a big one for sure. But with Marcus Smart out, I think Oubre and Wiggins are going to be able to capitalize for sure. So look for them to probably be upwards of 15 each. And if that's the case, I think it's going to be a tough game for the Celtics to win.
I don't think I don't know if Oubre and Wiggins, because I think it's just going to be all if Curry's off tonight.
That has not been the offense this year, though. That has not been the offense. I know,
but I'm saying I think Tatum and Brown are going to be on Wiggins and Oubre, and they're going to stick Kemba Walker on Curry, and Curry should be able to do whatever he wants. So if he's off tonight, I think the Warriors
they're not going to put Kemba on Curry.
I don't know what they're going to do. I don't think Brown and Tatum can keep up with him.
Brown can.
Maybe. I don't know.
All he has to do is hold him to 25 points, 30 points.
They're not going to do that. They're not doing that.
He just can't go for 50.
He's going to go for 50. Kevon Looney's going to go for 30, but they won't score anywhere else. That'll be it.
We'll see.
It'll be a good game, though, regardless.
It should be a good game. Two teams that are up and down. It should be a good game.
Yeah, both are looking to streak right now. Both need a streak right now for sure to stay in contention, especially the Warriors. I think they're the 7th seed, and they're like a couple games over 500 right now. That's
too bad for you guys. You can't be in the East. We're a 10-8 team as a home court series right now. Because
Chris, weren't you the one saying the East is more low?
Well, I didn't expect Toronto and Miami to just absolutely suck, which they do. I don't know how, but
18 games in, dude.
Are you just gonna keep saying the amount of games? This is like the 4th
We're
week.
18 games in, dude. You're talking about home court advantage in the playoffs.
And you'll be 7 games under 500.
Dude, we finished like 4 games behind you guys last year, dude. Like, we're 4 games behind you right now. You don't know how easy to make that up.
You multiply that times 4, and you'd be what? You'll be 16 games behind us by the end of the season.
We're just hungover. We're hungover from our championship. It's
good last night against the Hornets.
We don't have a toxic fan base, though. So, or at least I'm not really part of the fan base. I'm a nice little love watching the Heat, love watching them beat the Celtics. So, it's fine. I really could care less. How about if the Bruins lost, though? If the Bruins were 7-13 right now, I'd be losing my mind.
Yeah, so want to talk about the Bruins a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I'll go quickly right now. So last Friday and Saturday, and obviously for the listeners who before last week's just beat down of Pittsburgh, we swept the Flyers. Another sweep, no problem. Penguins, they suck. Crosby, never heard of them. You come in, you play in the Capitals, best team in the league, haven't lost regulation yet. You're down 3-0. You come back from 3-0 down in the third period. Unreal. That shows so much team character right there in the game of hockey. Unreal. Obviously, give up a tough goal to Ovechkin, leads the NHL history in overtime goals. Great shot. Can't do anything about it. We'll take our point. Monday, we come out. We play our worst game ever through the first 2.5 periods. Pasta gets us on the board with a nice little wrister in the slot. Bring it back to 3-1. It's all right. Maybe they could come back. Unreal third period. 4 goals. Brandon Carlo even scored. Top shelf to take the lead. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more from this team. I mean, this team is scary. This team, they give me flashbacks to the 2019 team that went to the Stanley Cup final, which their last game of the year was Game 6 where we beat St. Louis. We don't talk about the other game. But other than that, they give me flashbacks to that team. They're very strong defensively. They got the erection line going, and we're Krejci, DeBrusk and Kasha didn't even play yesterday, and we're buzzing. So I'm very happy with the Bruins.
Exceeding expectations?
Exceeding expectations heavily. Not from myself more so, but more so from Chris. They were not supposed to make the playoffs going into this year.
What? They were the number 1 seed last year. They're the best.
But going into the season, they weren't supposed to make the playoffs by most writers and most NHL people because they're in the toughest division and they lost Krug and Chara. That was their reasoning.
Okay. Well,
that's not from me. That's from the hockey world.
I don't watch. I rarely turn on Bruins games, but I will say this because Luke will get on me when I get excited after one Celtics win. Now they play the Capitals 2 games in a row, and they don't even win both games. They split.
Three points. We get 3 points. They got 2 points.
Give me the dumb NHL rule where you get points for losing. I understand.
You tied the game. You tied in regulation.
No,
you tied. It's a tie.
Do you get points in the NBA for winning and losing in overtime? No.
I think you should.
No, that's the dumbest thing.
You tied at the end of the game. At the end of regulation, you're tied. The game is tied. You tied.
Regardless of that, I know he's very excited and thinks they're going to win the cup and whatever, but I'm going to go through – let's go through the Bruins play.
I don't think they're going to win the cup. I think they look really strong.
Let's see what they've done since 2011. So 2012, choke. 2013, an absolute gag job.
Where were they, though? Where were they?
What do you win? You win. What do you want?
You were in the Stanley Cup Finals. It was a good season.
No, you want to hang up the Eastern Conference banner? Good for you.
They do that in every sport. 2014
choke after they won 54 games. Complete.
Yeah,
choke.
President's Trophy winners lost to the Canadians at home because they're divers. Divers turn every single series into a tantrum on the referee. Ridiculous. Good thing the Rangers beat them.
Choke. 2018. One of the biggest chokes in the history. Oh, no, that was the next year. 2018 choke. 2019. One of the biggest chokes in the history of the NHL.
We don't talk about it.
And last year,
they won the last game of the year. They won Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final.
Last year, they go into the bubble, don't show up, complete gag against Tampa Bay. They're a joke. I don't know. You can't trust this team worth anything in the playoffs. So I don't know. Luke's very excited, but you can't trust them. That's just
Let's look at the other teams. Let's look at the other teams in the NHL who have nearly not done anything close besides the Blackhawks to what the Bruins have done.
the Penguins who won 2 straight cups.
Oh, yeah. Dude, with fucking Sidney Crosby. Are you kidding me?
I don't care. Bruins have Bergeron.
Dude, Pittsburgh is such a brutal organization. They had the number 1 pick 3 years in a row.
I'm
No
sorry.
wonder why they're good.
Sorry, what? They won 2 cups more recently. The Bruins have won 1. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Because they have Sidney Crosby, dude. We don't have Sidney Crosby.
Sounds like you should have drafted better.
Oh, yeah. Dude, they went Fleury, Malkin, Crosby, 3 drafts in a row. 1, 2, and 1.
Sounds like Bruins should have drafted better. Should be tanking more and getting.
I'm fine winning and not having the number 1 overall pick every
All
year.
right, well,
Sorry.
the Penguins have more cups since in the last few years than the Bruins, and so that they should.
Fine. Still a joke of an organization.
Well, they have more. The Bruins must be even worse then, because they have less cups than the Penguins the last few years. They won 2 in a row.
It's fine, dude. You're counting cups. I'm fine with that. Count cups.
You don't count championships, or just going to ignore
No.
them?
I do count
Let me
championships.
just quote Michael Felger here. I have this funny thing where I just look at the scoreboard and I judge teams by the scoreboard. It's just it's a funny thing.
Really?
Yeah.
So let's go through the Penguins Cup runs. Who did they play in the Stanley Cup final?
I don't know. I just know they
The
won.
San Jose Sharks.
Hey.
Dylan didn't even know they had a team.
Who cares? The Bruins lost to the Blues, a team called the Blues in the finals.
Yeah, dude. You couldn't name one player on the St. Louis Blues.
No, I couldn't. But
They're a good team. They're a very well-balanced team. They're a good team. They deserve to win the Cup. They beat us in Game 7. They deserve to win it. We played bad. We should have won the series. I admit we should have won the series. We blew it. We choked. I'm not denying they're not a choking team, but you're acting like just every time you instantly lose in the playoffs, it's a gag. When they lose to the Lightning in round 2, when the Lightning are the best team in the league. Like, I don't understand.
Well,
Talk about the Lightning. Talk about the Lightning gag. Hold on. Let's talk about the Lightning gagging, because this team had the most points ever in NHL history. And the year the Bruins went to the Cup, they had the most points in NHL history. They got swept. They got swept by the 8th seed.
Luke.
How does it feel? You got swept by the Blue Jackets.
What do they don't care about anything in Tampa Bay. You're supposed to judge your teams with critically in Boston. How about when they won 54 games in 2014 and choked in the second round? Completely.
You didn't watch any of the games. You don't know what happened.
No, I don't, but I'm looking right here. They won 54 games and choked. Won 44 games, choke in the first round, 2017. They won.
If you just,
games.
Should we talk about the Celtics then? Like,
how is it a joke?
They choked too. They choked too. I'll admit that.
How is it a choke? How is it a choke if you lose to a team favored?
Luke, 50-game winners, 2018.
You just said they lost. You said they lost in 2017 to the team that literally went to double overtime in the Eastern Conference Finals with your Pittsburgh Penguins. Double overtime in the Eastern Conference Finals. You're like, oh, they gagged.
You're not supposed to. You're supposed to win every single year. If you're in Boston,
oh my God, dude! Cut it out. Cut it out.
No. We're not going to act.
That
like
2017 team was supposed to win when they were rebuilding with 6 rookies on their team. That team was supposed to beat the Senators.
That sounds like an excuse.
Dude, the team has choked in the past. There's no denying it. But just because you go to the playoffs and choke is not like a gag. Like, this is not how it works. They choked in 2019. You could say they choked in 2014 because they were favored. But just history
what about
shows.
2018 when they won 50 games and lost in the
Canadians are our daddy, dude. We weren't going to beat the Canadians in 2014 because they're just diving everywhere.
Guys. The Celtics and Bruins have come down with the same thing over the last 8 or 9 years. They just choke in the playoffs every year.
It's funny you mention that because the Bruins actually won a cup since 2010.
Yeah, well, if you look at since 2011, after the 2011 Cup, both teams have choked mightily in the playoffs.
I wouldn't say the Bruins have choked in the playoffs. I would say they choked in 2019 and 2014. Outside of that, in 2013, they choked that last game. They choked that last game in 2013.
Yeah, they did. I remember that.
I can't watch that. I cannot
Completely
watch
ridiculous.
that. I can't watch
all right. Enough NHL talk. I think our viewers probably
You
had enough of that.
You just got some kid that doesn't know anything about the NHL just saying random stuff just to get me mad. That's literally what that was right there. That's what that was right there.
I listen to Boston Sports Radio, and I know they're a choking franchise. That's all I need to know.
Dude,
All right, back to the NBA.
Hold on.
The NBA.
Boston Sports Radio says the Patriots are chokers, so I don't know.
They are. They choked against the Eagles.
Okay, so you can live in your world.
They
The
choked
Bruins
you.
are a good team. They're a
You're
good team
supposed to
this
win
year.
every single year in Boston. You should win the championship every
The
single year.
Bruins were down 3-0 and just won 5-3 with 4 goals in the third period. So they didn't choke yesterday.
I think it's
so that's
down
all
3-0.
all I care about. I don't care
Oh,
about
good
the
there.
past.
Good in the regular season. The best record in the league last year, and they lost in the second round, so that's good.
Dude, literally COVID, dude. You cannot, dude.
We're going in circles.
Rest my case
Dude,
right there.
They took 5 months off, had 2 weeks of
We're
training
going in
camp.
circles, Luke. Okay, back to the NBA. Now, we are almost 20 games through the season. Almost 20 games through the NBA season, which is almost about a third of this shortened season, as they play 72 games this year. So, we would like to give you guys, our viewers, our top 5 contenders in the NBA as of right now, Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. All right. I will start us off here with my top 5 teams as of right now. So, at number 1, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe that to dethrone the king in LeBron James, you have to beat the king in the playoffs. So, as of right now, I have the Lakers at number 1. They look a little shaky as of late, obviously barely squeaking out a win over the Celtics the other night. And last night, they were close with the Atlanta Hawks, which is a little surprising. But LeBron James, Anthony Davis, stacked roster. I have the Lakers at number 1. Number 2, we have the Los Angeles Clippers, the other LA team. They're looking very formidable this year, being what they should be. Kawhi's going for 50, 40, and 90 on the year right now. Very good player, very good defensive team. And I think Paul George might step up this year for once in the playoffs. We will see, though. At number 3, we have the Utah Jazz, a team that was just streaking as of late. I believe their 11-game winning streak, I think it was, just got snapped. But they went through that winning streak without one of their best players, Donovan Mitchell, for a few games, and they were able to blow some teams out even without him. So that says a lot about that team for sure. They got shooters everywhere as well. Number 4, we have the team that is currently boasting one of the best offensive ratings in NBA history, but also the worst defensive rating in NBA history in the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, a lot of star power on that team, but James Harden has not changed how he plays defense in his time away from Houston. He continues to stay lazy off the ball and on the ball when defending. And then number 5, we have the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference in the 76ers. I like what Embiid's doing this year, MVP contender. I don't really see anybody else beating them out for the 5 spot as of right now, but they could easily be a team as the Celtics or possibly a Nuggets in there at 5 in a week or so. What do you guys got?
I'll go. I mean, I got the
It's all good. I'll go.
Oh.
We got right here. First, obviously, we got the Clippers. I like the way Kawhi Leonard's been playing this year. Paul George has obviously stepped up, but we can't count on him in the playoffs still yet. I like the Clippers system. I think they're a deep team. I think they play pretty good defense, better than any Western Conference team so far, so I like them there. I'm actually going to go ahead and put the Jazz at 2. I've really liked the way the Jazz have played this year. Donovan Mitchell, superstar, great player. Rudy Gobert on defense. Quinn Snyder's a good coach, actually gets the guys to play defense. I've been impressed with the Jazz. I think you got to put the Lakers at 3. Nothing against them. I just think they've looked a little sloppy, a little sluggish coming out after winning the finals last year. I think they'll be okay. I'm just going to put them at 3 for the moment right now, the way they've been playing. 4, I am going to go with the Sixers because I think the Sixers are actually a good team. I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs due to Simmons shooting, Danny Green, and Seth Curry not being the greatest postseason players of all time. But old Danny Green used to be dynamite, but nowadays not so much. And then at 5, I think I'm going to put the Nets despite – actually, no, 5, I'm going to put the Suns. I've been watching the Suns recently, and I think this team can compete in the Western Conference. I think the Suns are a good team. I really like Devin Booker. I think Chris Paul is a great facilitator for that team. He's been a pretty good leader. The way the Suns have been playing, I think they deserve the 5 spot right now over Brooklyn. I think they're a good team.
I think they just lost like 6 out of their last 8 going into like a few days ago.
Weren't you the one yesterday just wet over Devin Booker on his
I said Devin Booker with the dagger against the struggling Mavericks team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and put the Wizards at 5. If we're just gonna put random teams here.
He's going to put random
Top
teams,
5.
and I'm going to put the Wizards at 5.
Anyways, I'll start I'll start at
Hey,
5.
Chris, the Wizards gag every year, dude. Did you forget? Let's go through their playoffs.
Well, they don't make the playoffs usually, so I'll start at
So
5.
let's make – yeah, sure. See this? You see this? The trophy.
At 5, I'm going to go with Denver. 12-8 right now. They're not playing great basketball, but they had a nice run last year. Got to trust them still. Number 3 and number 4, I'm going to go with the Clippers. The problem with I have the NBA rankings that some of these teams don't care about the regular season, so I'm trying to take into account how these teams are showing up on a night-to-night basis. So I'm going with the Clippers at 4 because I don't trust them in the playoffs. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're contenders as of right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Bucks.
So that makes sense because you don't trust the Clippers in the playoffs, so you would trust the Bucks in the playoffs. So that makes a lot of sense.
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't seem to make sense, Chris.
Listen.
That doesn't seem to make sense. You just said I base it off teams that don't try hard in the regular season and think about what the playoffs. Where the Bucks are in the regular season. The Bucks are literally the every year regular season. Talk about a team that gags in the playoffs.
Yeah, they do. They usually do.
And why are they at 3? You literally just explained why the Clippers were at 4.
You have to understand, Luke. I'm very take driven, and I took the Bucks to win the East, so I have to have them in here.
So you just can't then knock the Clippers like that, though.
Well, I can't because I'm taking everything into account here. Now, I like
change. You resist change, Chris. You end up like a dinosaur, extinct.
Well, I'm sticking with the Bucks to win the East, and that's the only.
Like Max Kellerman calling Brady a bum.
It's the only Eastern Conference team I have in my top 5, and they're number 2, or number 3. Sorry, I don't trust Philadelphia because they choke in the playoffs. There you go.
Yeah, of course.
Number 2, I have Utah. That what they're doing this season is really impressive to me. And remember that they almost beat Denver that series last year. I think they would have beaten the Clippers, and they would have gone on to play the Lakers in the conference finals. So they're really impressed me. I think Quinn Snyder's a top 2 or 3 coach in the league. I
think they would have beat the Clippers last year just on how bad the Clippers were, more so than that the Jazz are a better team than them.
I think the Jazz are playing really well right now, though. They deserve that spot. And I'll go with the Lakers number 1. As Dylan said, you have to dethrone the champs to be taken down from the number 1 spot.
So you got to dethrone the champs. Let's rank the Eastern Conference then.
Rank the East?
Let's dethrone Miami. I'm just playing.
All right, so fine. All right, here we go.
No, we don't need this. We don't need this.
All right, Milwaukee number 1. I'll go with.
Wait, they were dethroned last year when a white dude from Whitnall High School absolutely went in there and teared him up with an and 1.
Milwaukee number 1. I'll go with Brooklyn number 2, Celtics 3, Sixers 4, Indiana 5. That's all you need to know. Everybody else sucks.
Okay. So that'll do it for our NBA there. Actually, one thing. Let's go over MVP picks for right now. As of right now. MVP picks for the NBA regular season right now.
They're pretty obvious.
No, it's not.
Kemba Walker. Have you watched him play recently? What was he? 1 for 12. He scored. It's like putting a Make-A-Wish kid out there. He would have scored as many points.
Well, listen, I think Kemba Walker, what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to make up an excuse to send him down to Portland because they obviously need a little help for next year's Red Claws team, which I think is going to be contending. And, if Kemba goes down there, I think he'll be able to play well against some of those G League guys, maybe go down and average 15, 16 points a game.
He won't be allowed to shoot there. Waters is there. He takes all their shots.
Waters is there. I'm sure, Taco will be back there. That's really one of the best dynamic duos out there.
Do you think they're looking to bring Kemba down to Orlando for the G League bubble?
No, the Red Claws opted out of the G League bubble. It's one of the biggest travesties of the year.
Series MVP pick, though, I'm going with Steph Curry.
Steph Curry. All right. Do you think he'll put up the numbers, though, to compete with these guys like a Jokic who's almost going up for a triple-double, or, LeBron who's going to be probably a 1 seed again with near triple-double average as well?
They got to get controversy. They got to get controversy. Those guys won't keep it up. Centers won't keep it up. Curry will be fine. LeBron's not winning MVP. LeBron's playing in 5% right now. He's not trying to win the MVP.
I think I like the pick, obviously, as a Warriors fan, but they're going to probably need to be a top 5, top 6 seed to get that MVP award to Steph, and I don't really see them being that as of right now. So I'm probably going to have to end up giving it to Jokic. I think it'd be exciting to see a big man get it. And the dude's putting up ridiculous numbers for a team that's going to be that top 5 team in the West. So if I were to put money on it, my money would be on Jokic.
Well, it pains me to say this. This is my least favorite player outside of Kyrie Irving in the league, but I think it's Joel Embiid right now, the way he's playing. 28 and 11, and I watched him play 2 games against the Celtics. Not that it's very hard to score on the Celtics bigs, but he put up like 40 in both games, and he gets against the team that they're supposed to be rivals with, even though they never beat us in the playoffs. But yeah, Embiid.
Solid player for a solid team. Obviously, the 1 seed that has some appeal as well. I don't like the guy, like you said, but he could definitely make a run at it for sure. Do you guys want to talk a little bit of college basketball here before we wrap it up?
Yeah, great game coming on tonight. We got Baylor, Texas, 2 top 6 teams. I think Texas is a legit team. In the Big 12, I think this is the only team that can beat Baylor. I'm hoping for a good game tonight. I'm hoping that is Shaka Smart coaching, Chris? Do we know, or is he still?
Yeah, he is back. I think you're going to be disappointed though. Baylor's won every game by 10+ points this year.
So that's what I was gonna address. I'm on the big I've been on Gonzaga's hype train. I watched him early in the year where they were dominant. So I'm big on Jalen Suggs. I've turned around a little bit. I kind of like Baylor a little bit more over Gonzaga in a head-to-head more so. I think I'm going to be flopping back and forth between those 2 teams just every time I watch them play because they're both so dominant. It's just like, wow, I can't see them losing this way. But the only reason I can see Baylor beating them is just more so they're grittier. They're going to do the little things to win the game more so. Chris would say Gonzaga has horrible defense. I would say they have a average defense. I wouldn't say they're going 10,000% all the time. But I think Baylor's got really elite defense. They got Vital, who's like Draymond Green. I think he's a great player. So I think Baylor does more of the little things, which is why I just take Baylor because both teams can score the ball. I mean, Jared Butler, unreal. So unfortunately, Chris, for your Michigan Wolverines, I think it's just those 2 teams this year, even though Michigan's a great team.
Yeah, I agree. The tournament's unpredictable, so we'll see. I just want to address this real quick. We don't have time to argue about this. Maybe next time. But I got a text from Luke. Don't. And this is during the week in our group. Don't listen to the ACC, SEC, Big 12 snob.
The Big 10 sucks. The Big 10 sucks. Dude.
Hold on. Every single legit college basketball analyst and, everybody acknowledges the Big 10 is the best coverage of college basketball.
Not going to win in the tournament, though.
They are. Well, Gonzaga and Baylor are 2 best teams. Other than that, Michigan could be that 3rd team, maybe Villanova.
Michigan's the only team that'll – hot take right now for all you listeners – Michigan will be the only Big 10 team in the Elite 8.
Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, all
Wisconsin.
Games.
The same team that gave up a 43-2 run. Wisconsin, who lost to Penn State on the road.
Wisconsin won the Big 10 last year and returned literally
every. What, dude? They will
be fine. They will be fine. They will pick it up.
The Big 10 is turnover, and you're like, they play great defense. No, they don't. These guys just can't dribble. Dude, no. Michigan's a legit team. Everyone else is not that good. They're overrated. I'm not saying they're bad teams, but they're overrated.
Ohio State, too. That's another team that can make an Elite Eight round. Very good team.
They're good teams, and they knock each other off. I get that argument. But, dude, watching the game is just like they're not good.
It's called defense.
No, it's not, dude. When you throw a hook shot off the side of the basket, it's not called defense.
Because they have to take a last-second shot because the defense is so good.
All right.
Really?
We don't have a lot of time left, so I think that'll have to do it for this episode of Straight Out the Lou. Thank you for joining us. And as always, see you next time.